Hey guys, this is now the introduction to the first half day of my course. So that's the first day before lunch. And I'll show you right away on my Mural walkthrough what that means. So we have here now the first half day, the swim lane for that. And the morning session covers pretty much product owner core competencies and Scrum Foundation learning objectives. That's what we have in here. In my course backlog, it's called Scrum and Agile Basics. Yeah, so that's the mapping to it. We begin with an adjusted version of the ballpoint game. So what does that mean? The storyline is actually that we are a virtual company, so we are simulating something. We produce premium class table tennis balls. Yeah, of course, we don't really produce them. We simulate that. And we simulate it by following these rules and by this explanation. So we actually, I explain I'm the product owner of this company, and the team is there to produce it, figure out how to do it, and so on. The rules are they have to play as one team, regardless of how many people they are. Starting point equals end point, no passing ball to the direct neighbor, and so on and so on. So you can read through the rules there. And these are pretty much the rules. We also measure, estimate, and measure what is done. I mean, you can see here the German explanations or the German terms, because most of my classes are run in German. So sorry for that, but I have also the translation in the yellow stickies. So what I explain is, we are on the market. We produce high premium table tennis balls, and we are also we have a very much focus on quality. I'm the product owner. I take care of what is going on in the market, about the math behind that. So cost calculation, benefits calculation, cost benefits ratio, etc., etc. I also take care of the competition. I compare us to the competition a little bit. I see what's going on the market, and I will be there if questions arise. Yeah, so that's my job. That's what I'll do. And I'll trust him to get the work done. So then they have a little bit of a time to figure out how to achieve that, how to produce table tennis balls according to these rules. And also, after these couple of minutes, they just need to do it. They have 2 minutes in every iteration. So this is the concept of iterations, of time boxing as well. They have 2 minutes to produce them. I have my eye also on the quality. That means if something goes wrong, I'll explain them and they don't count. So only the high premium balls which adhere to all the rules. If a ball falls down, that's just a bug. They can fix it. So that's their choice. I'll ask for an estimation, and in the end, we'll check what the result was. Yeah, and that continues. And at one point in time in this game, I'll explain to them, I've done my math now. I know what we need to be able to survive so that the company is viable. And that means we need to produce at least 80 to have a break even. So that means that we survive. Not more than that. There are no separate parties of celebrations on Christmas or presents or pony or whatever. It's not possible. With this, we survive. We can pay the salaries and so on. And that gives usually some kind of pressure to the people, and that's a turning point in this game when they realize, okay, that's very much, but it starts thinking out of the box. Yeah, they start questioning the rules, they start considering different concepts, they start thinking about tooling. Yeah, what can we use that we can produce more at once instead of working faster or harder? They start thinking about how to work smarter. And this is really interesting to see. So it's also a goal setting theory behind that. I'll explain that later, and so on and so on. So this is pretty much very interesting exercise because it delivers the concept of iterations and also the concept of retrospectives, because after each iteration, we do a little review and we retrospect. So I'll give them time that they can think about what to change in the next iteration and what to change in terms of way of working and so on. Maybe different setup, different structures, like I said, tooling, and so on and so on. So this is already, without some of them don't even know Scrum or only have heard the name before. So without that, they get the concept of iterative working, of reviewing, of planning, because they also need to plan the sprint up front. They need to estimate, and also retrospection. And in the debriefing later on, we talk about all these concepts. What would have happened if there wouldn't have been any retrospections and any retrospectives, things like that. So this is clarifying why is it important to do it that way? Why is it there? And the next exercise then, this is already, I mean, here you have the mapping to the learning objectives and some explanations of already. And the next exercise is then the mapping directly to Scrum. I call it Name It because there's a template I use, and the participants have to fill out this template. So there are all the elements of Scrum on there, like roles, events, and artifacts, and also the sprint goal and the definition of done, also the product vision, the vision for it. And they need to figure to fill it out so that they get their own interpretation first, what they think Scrum is, how the setup looks like. And then, of course, we do a debriefing and go into, what is the role about, what's the event about, what happens there, and so on and so on. And this is also followed then just by, also by my personal interpretation of how Agile connects to Scrum and connects to the layer of tools and practices. So this is my 3-layered visualization, my 3-layered understanding of these 3 concepts. Like Agile is the mindset. Some say it's a philosophy, has a value system attached, and Scrum as the empirical process control framework with the 3 pillars of that, and also how that connects then to the practices we often use, tools we use, also things like user stories and so on, which are not part of Scrum, but fit very well into Scrum and so on. So that's the concept, that's the element. We also talk about a little bit of the history of Scrum sometimes if they're interested, where it comes from. But this is pretty much the morning. There's a lot of debriefing going on. There's a lot of conversation going on after the exercises. So it's a lot of interaction. This is a very busy morning already, with a lot of learnings. And that already comprises it then. And they need to process the lunch break then anyway. To process it, they need the lunch break anyway. And so this ends then the first day in the morning. Thank you.